Hi everyone, I'm here with Nikki today. We've been talking and I have already learned so much from her, so I'm excited for her to share with us our story and her learnings and her experience, and I think she's got so much to add to the world with what she's been through and what she's learned as well. Hi Nikki, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on. It's such a pleasure, and it's been wonderful talking with you. I feel like I know you so well just from our talk and understanding that, we both have been through a very similar journey in the sense of, you know, digging down deep and learning how to heal from within, and
That's beautiful.
in a very positive energy. And I think that's very beautiful, and it gives such encouragement to your subscribers and your fans and people that you know. It's a really great thing that you're doing, and I have a lot of respect for that, and I really thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much, Nick. So tell us a little bit more about your story, where it all started, how you got here and everything.
How it got started. Growing up, I grew up in an abusive home, psychological, physical abuse, different things like that. Always knew that there's something wrong with this picture, and I thought this just isn't right. It doesn't feel right. There just seemed to be something more. So I was always striving to understand people's behaviors, because the energy I felt off of people and what they said didn't always match what their actions were. And so I was very interested in behavior and how the mind works in terms of how people decide what they decide, and, moving forward with each thought and each day. And so I ended up, moving away from home, and I went into the medical field, learned a lot more that way. Then I went into other fields, insurance for a little while. That wasn't for me. Then in between, I had my two children, got married, had two children. Then a little bit after that, got divorced, kind of got out there again. And I was living with my son at one point, and I'd had different medical issues throughout my life, and different things from the abuse and different things. And I had actually come down with what's called cyclical vomiting, where it's an inability for your body, like you go through such extreme nausea, that, I mean, even nausea medication, like it's so strong. It's some of the strongest nausea medicine out there. And it's just day after day after day repeated, where it's just you can barely keep any liquid down or food down. And it for me, it actually lasted for 18 months,
Wow.
before I started to turn that around. And the doctors had said, they kind of did all their investigations, and I'd been to multiple specialists for it, in and out of the hospital at different times, between dehydration, and my weight had dropped down to 69 pounds. I was always very petite, always had a difficult time keeping weight on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to go from the higher 90s to, down to like 68, 69 pounds I think at the lowest that I actually checked it. I might have gone lower, but I didn't check below that. I just thought that was, my son was living with me, and he was, doing everything he could to make food for me and bring me cold drinks and just take care of me,
And
And
all the doctors could do is just to give you anti-nausea tablets, and when you had like a really bad episode, or if you couldn't really keep food down, you would have to go to hospital, and they would give you
they would
everything.
treat me there and keep me sometimes, for a 20-hour period or 24-hour period. And they're like, okay, well, you're hydrated, nothing more we can do, go home. And so it was just a repeat of going back and forth. And it's like, and, I almost died 3 times because of it. My heart rate had dropped so low with the low weight.
Wow.
And so at that point, I was in the hospital, I think like a week to a week and a half at that point. And I just, with all the knowledge from different things that I've studied, and being tuned into energy all my life, and understanding the subconscious brain and the conscious brain and how those kind of work in synergy, that I was at a bit of a loss where, here I am improving all different things in my life, medically and other things. But this, like it just, it stumped me to a point, because I felt like I could sort of feel a little bit better for a day or two, but then I'd go back into these bouts of 5 to 7 days where, like, I almost couldn't get up. I physically didn't have the energy. I'd be crawling to the bathroom and back at times. I just didn't feel like I could, you know, get around at points,
Yeah.
you know.
So
And
basically, months you lived a life that it was just in and out of hospitals. You potentially couldn't work. You couldn't do anything because you're so weak, right? So physically, you're so dry, you didn't have enough nutrients inside you.
yeah, so I basically, because of different ailments that I had, I was on a disability pension.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so as I get better, I'm still kind of working through that right now. But essentially, even when I was getting better with other things, it just seemed like something else kind of came in the mix,
Yeah.
and so I knew that there was something in my subconscious programming that I didn't work out,
Yeah.
okay? Because as much knowledge as we know, I'm the kind of person, I'm always researching every day, and there's never a point where we stop learning. And
Yes.
so I thought, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into this, and I'm going to, work with my energy and my mindset, and try to figure out where that subconscious program is. And, usually subconscious programs are programmed when we're kind of like newborn to 7 years old, and can stay with us throughout our lifetime. And it
Yeah.
can seem very unrelated, so maybe the abuse growing up, but because of the physical abuse, the psychological abuse, that the pain and suffering through maybe being sick and not
Yeah.
clearing all of that energy, it was manifesting more illness in my body, right? And I think this was a way of, kind of like my body's cry for help. It's like,
And
you need to heal this. Like,
to
you,
get to
like
this source,
there's,
right? To get to this source, because you were trying to get to this source. I mean, what were the things that you were diagnosed with before? So just the listener know a little bit more about it.
fibromyalgia, which is, the ligaments, muscles, and tendons, very painful to go through.
There is no pill. There is no, they don't understand where it comes from. It's a very, it's an autoimmune disease, and people, yeah, go through life in suffering, isn't it? Mostly because it's very difficult to manage and challenging to manage. But,
Exactly.
no doctors can't pinpoint exactly why it happens.
Exactly. And like I said, a lot of times that will start at the subconscious, where, we end up with different belief systems going in, or even sometimes it could be where we feel abandoned, growing up, and there could be some subconscious program there, that subconscious programs are the habits that we have,
Mm.
and so if the subconscious knows that program, the subconscious only understands the now. Our
Yeah.
subconscious mind does not understand the past. It doesn't understand the concept of future. So if we're sick with something, and we talk about how sick we are, okay, and how long the illness is going to last, and oh, will I ever get over it? Well, our subconscious goes, oh, so, so we're going to have it for a long time. And so the subconscious, it's responsible for the different processes in the body, like our heart beating, and our lungs
Mm.
breathing, and the blood pumping, and different anti-inflammatory responses and things like that is based a lot to do with the subconscious mind. More specifically, I mean, we can consciously say, "Hey, lift my arm," and we do, but on a deeper level, the subconscious is where, we our mind will basically have a habit where we do a certain action, or we have a certain reaction when someone says a certain thing to us. We tend to have that either, withdrawn sort of reaction or aggressive reaction, or just feel really bad or sad. But maybe technically the person saying what they're saying doesn't mean anything by what they're saying, but it's an anchor that your subconscious knows that program. So when they hear that terminology or that word or something just in that one way or that certain way, the subconscious is kind of stuck in that program of, it doesn't understand the past or future. So if it's going through it right now and we're thinking about it right now, the subconscious believes that it is happening, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
But if we reprogram our subconscious and raise our vibration to a higher vibration, so we're in positive, grateful feelings that, when we forgive someone, we're in that very high vibration. When we forgive ourselves,
Yeah.
we're in that high vibration, right? And we have to forgive ourselves even when we feel like we should have seen something, but we've overlooked it. Well, when a lot of this happens in the subconscious, where we're not even quite there all the time, it's to access. It's going into different states of consciousness where we can go into meditations and relaxations, and there's different techniques to be able to go into different states of consciousness to put a new program into the subconscious, and then we can energetically work out the negative, feelings that surround it. So it is a process, but each step is very, very simplistic at the core.
Yeah.
Like I said, the subconscious doesn't understand future or past. So one of the techniques that I teach people is doing a type of imagery in their mind. So think of, if you're wanting to, have more wealth in your life, or you want to heal yourself or get better from an ailment that you're suffering, or you want to have more energy, for your day-to-day activities, or improve a relationship, or better communication, or just better in tune with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I do a technique where, think of like a movie. If you're playing a snippet of a movie that you've seen before, you know exactly how it goes. You know that part. That's when the guy falls over the fence and hits his head, and everybody laughs, and and off he is, off to the hospital. But they give him a big, party, whatever, so he feels better. Whatever that snippet is. When we do imagery with a movie, working with the subconscious, because we're working in the present, we want to put a little mini movie together. So, like 10, 20 seconds where we're in first person, and we actually go through the imagery of us accomplishing that goal we had already set out to have or to accomplish, but in the present tense, like we already have it.
Yeah.
It's already done. So for the healing, feel what it would feel like to be healed, because think about it. When we feel really happy about something really happy that happened in our lives, we can think back to that and feel that emotion and be like, oh yeah, I remember how great that was, right? We all know how that feels. The same idea. So if you want to feel great about you've been healthy for the past year, even though it's still today, right? Feel how that would feel. You know what it feels like to feel healthier. So feel what that would feel like. Feel like how excited you would feel if in this moment that you are healed already.
Yeah.
And subconscious, like I said, no past, no future. It's like, oh, in a simplified way, oh, well, if we're already healed,
Yeah.
hey, cells, body, hey, we got stuff to do. Get to work. And
Yeah.
what's going to happen is the body starts to actually fall in line with what it is required to do in order to be able to, if it's reduce inflammation or, more oxygen in our blood. Like the signals, the chemical reactions and the signals the subconscious is giving is going to be the signals that is going to promote the healing, as
Yeah.
opposed to us being in that negative space, okay? Because it's very similar. If we're falling asleep and we're thinking of, we're playing out this negative scenario going forward and in our future, oh, the struggles. Now, we may struggle when we actually are taking the steps through, because sometimes things can be really hard. But with increasing our vibration, we're in a better state of energy. We have more vitality. When we change the subconscious programming through this type of movie, as well as a few other techniques, but very simplified techniques, we start to change the way the brain has that program. So just like an app in your phone, if that app isn't working and it's glitchy and you can't connect on Zoom,
Yeah.
it's going to make for a bad day, And so it's basically, think of like, when we think of energy, bad energy out, good energy in.
Yeah.
Our brains, it's like bad app out, or think of a program for your computer. Bad program out, good program in. And for some people, it could take, anywhere from a few days. It could take some people for the switch to happen. So now the subconscious is aligned and it's working in that mode of it's already done, right?
So you did. So you started doing the work with the cyclic vomiting. You started visualizing and meditating, a state of healing right now, a state of health right now. Is that what you started on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, I started doing more in-depth energy work, to be able to tune in to different areas of my body, so I could at least be in awareness of where different pain that I had, like before I do the movie and everything. So I'm in awareness of it. So at least I know this is what I'm feeling right now. So if I was really nauseous, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do some energy work to be able to naturally reduce my nausea. I'm going to increase my vibration, so that way my body is more able to actually synchronize with my thoughts of, I need to be able to reduce it, then I'll feel better. I can start to go to the next step of healing and the next step of healing. So instead of overwhelming myself with everything, with, oh my God, I gotta gain weight, oh, I gotta, eat this much a day to gain so much weight back, to kind of, because the danger point was being so low weight, not being able to keep enough in to prevent myself from dropping that weight. But the nausea was huge. So I thought, okay, well, if I can curb the nausea, at least start small steps, right?
Yeah.
One step at a time. I'll work on the nausea. I'll work on the movie to change that programming. So higher vibration more of the time, and actually working through my crown chakra to, like, I visualize it, like I'm actually drawing in the light of the energy when I do my breathing in technique for energy. And then seeing just the negative energy being released away from my body and out of my energetic field. So now it's not able to affect me.
Yeah.
Now,
And
if that is my belief in my subconscious, then you know, we start to literally energetically push illness away from us,
Mm.
you know, you know, so energetically and also working with the mind to be able to be in a more positive state of mind and mindset and be able to do the simple techniques and do a movie. And so, like I said, over a short period of time, change starts to happen and we start to feel better.
How
And
long
it's
did
quite,
how long did it take you from being, like you mentioned, very weak in bed and not being able to do, get up and do things, to actually started feeling physically better again from, doing all the work that you did?
I had suffered approximately 18 months where it was more full blown, kind of from kind of a, a, it, a very weird kind of onset. It was just kind of like I was seemingly okay, and then I thought I had a flu or something, and I'm like, okay, you think a few days, you might get over it. Okay, maybe a few extra days, maybe I just was not as healthy as I thought I was, so it's
Mm.
taking a bit longer to recoup. But it just wouldn't let up, and I thought there's got to be something wrong here. So there was quite a period of time, and actually for the better part of probably more than a year, there was still all the different investigations and
Yeah.
multiple tests and different theories of what they thought it might be and might not be, and just that they didn't think that there was any way that they would be able to. There's no way to cure cyclic vomiting. They think that when people have it, it's kind of you have it. And
Mm-hmm.
some people can have it really bad, or you could have it where it's manageable. But because I had dropped down to 69 pounds, keeping up this way, it was not manageable. It's a death sentence, essentially. And, I two adult children, I'm not ready to leave this planet yet.
Yeah.
And so I I put it in my movie that this is like what the doctors told me, that they just didn't see any way out because I was always low weight, like I said, and just 69 pounds. Like, how much lower do you go as an adult, right? So I basically just decided what the doctors had told me, that there's essentially no hope of getting where I want to be, and if it kept on going down, we kind of knew where it was going. And I just was like, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. You know what? I haven't figured it out all this time since I started with this, but I am going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I put that in my movie that I'm already healed. The nausea is just disappearing at lightning speed. And within literally a short period of time, I was able to start doing short walks.
Awesome.
Certain days I was able to do a little bit more, go to a store and back, but a lot of times, especially after the worst part of it, it took me like, over a period of weeks and months to kind of build up the distance to keep walking. And,
Yeah.
every time I thought felt like I was sore and I was starting to get tired, I was like, but that's okay, because I'm going to smile and I'm just going to take one more step after the other, because I already know I'm healed. And
Yeah.
so this is part of the work
That's
of
beautiful.
the holistic approach to healing, because it's not just good enough to reprogram it here. We have to add the action as well every day to raise the vibration. And like I said, the techniques are very, very simple, but it's,
The practice.
you do it in a sequence and a practice, and it becomes your habit. And it
Yes.
literally is it does get put in the subconscious, because we're doing the movie that this is the way I do things, and I'm going to keep increasing my ability to tune into the energy. And
Wow.
so, and to continue healing my body on a continuous basis before we get sick. So to keep our bodies at an optimal, peak
Yeah.
performance. And I've actually, at different points over the last few years since I kind of got over this and kind of got to a better place, I've actually been able to do a lot of things that I wasn't able to do for a
Before.
very, very long time, even before the cyclical vomiting,
Yeah, that's
you know?
amazing.
So it's like I didn't just feel that. I I started really to tap in to the perfect combination of, the energy, the mindset, the reprogram, and it just tied it all together. And in its simplistic form, it really is something that literally for a lot of it, it could be minutes a day.
Yeah,
You could do some of the different energy practices and techniques when you're falling asleep, right before you fall asleep, because we start to drop into the different states of consciousness. When you're in that kind of drifty state and you don't know whether you were just asleep or you're awake,
yeah,
if you see your movie when you are tired, and so while you do your movie, you do some energy work, you do your energy clear, and you drift into that, you're drifting into a deeper state of consciousness, which
mm,
is easier to program our subconscious than just in our normal conscious and awake state, you know?
uh,
And so the deeper you go in the different states of consciousness, and also to be able to learn to go in those deeper states through energy work, through mindset, through the subconscious, is that we tend to naturally find ourselves without even attempting, a practice in this very moment to feel
mm,
better. We just tend to feel better. And some of the practices are a few seconds. If you feel stressed going into a meeting, few seconds, we're back on our game, we're in clarity, we're focused, and we go in and we do what we got to do. And we already do that movie for those few seconds that
yeah,
we nailed it. We got our message across. And so whether it's health, whether it's wealth, whether
yeah,
it's just you want better relationships with yourself and with the people that you love and those you work with or around you, the same core concepts, same thing like you were saying, it's the everyday practice of
yeah,
implementing it as just part of your life instead of, oh, well, I have to exercise 3 times a week in order to be the weight I want. It's not about that. It's becoming one with the practice,
it become,
where,
yeah, I do
you know,
believe,
where it does become the
yeah,
habit. It's like
yeah,
we don't think of our heart to beat, but we can be in awareness and think and feel our heart beating and be in awareness of, wow, our heart is beating and it's keeping us alive. And you know what? We got to think of it like that with our brain. If we don't put good stuff in, and
yeah,
especially self talk, because it's one thing that if we listen to what other people say that,
yeah,
oh, maybe you won't heal, or oh, maybe you won't get through this struggle the way that you're hoping to. Well, that adds to any self doubt that we might already have programmed
yeah,
from poor examples in our lives from
yeah,
previous, right? So whether we've been abused, whether we've been through a difficult relationship,
yeah,
we've lost a marriage, we've lost a child or a loved one, our best friend, you know, every person goes through suffering in their own personal
yeah,
way. Some people deal with one situation way better than another one, but the other person goes, well, I got through this easy, but that's been the hardest thing for me in my life. And there's no negating a person's experience. You know, there's no downplaying anyone's experience,
uh,
because what the struggle is for us was a struggle. But like I said, when we change the mindset, we change the subconscious programming, change those habits of ours to be in that higher vibration, there's really nothing we can't do.
no,
You
that's
know,
so beautiful.
Positivity really does make the world go round. It really does.
Yeah, thank
And
you
like I said,
so much for sharing your story.
self-talk to ourselves, it's the most important, because we talk to ourselves in our
Yeah,
own head more than any other person
yeah,
on the planet. So when we talk to ourselves, remind yourself. You're beautiful. You're an amazing person. You
Yeah.
spread sunshine everywhere you go. And you know what? Your subconscious is like, you're right. I do. And so you become this ball of happiness, you know,
Yeah.
and you're kind of like, I don't know what I did to get here. I know they said do these steps and do this practice, but it doesn't even seem like work. It's kind of fun. And I just feel so good. I don't know how I could feel better. But the next day you feel better still. It's
Yeah.
just amazing that every day you practice it and it becomes more solidified and then you change different programs,
Yeah.
you know, for different things within your life. Before you know it, everything in your life is just in more synchronicity,
Yeah.
that higher vibration. You attract that happiness. And it's just amazing. And I've had such success with the people that I've coached with, that just they're just in that joyous place more of the time. Because we all, like I said, we all get sad, we all get down, we
Yeah.
all go through struggles, but we need to be able to implement simple things in our lives that make extraordinary and transformational change in our lives. And like I said, energy goes from us out to the world. So when we can get to a better place, we help other people get to a better place as well.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely. Thank you
yeah.
so much for sharing your story. I think it's beautiful that you took a charge of your own health, even though there was not much hope around you. That was beautiful how you changed, you know, your subconscious, your mindset, and then how you embodied that change in your body. That is really beautiful. Like I said, it's simple, but yet we need a lot of practice to get there. That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to give hope to many, especially if somebody's going through something, you know, similar to you, which, you know, like I said, it was quite challenging. You know, it was like, you know, getting a death sentence, but you turn things around and look at you now. You know, you look amazing. I'm not going to say your age because you look like 20 years younger. But thank you so much for your time. It was awesome having you. I really appreciate your time so much.
Could I just say hello to my kids out there, Ryan and Laura? And I have a young man that I work with. I do coaching with him, and he's become close to me. A kind of, you know, mentor, kind of mother figure type thing. His name is Muhammad, and he's in West Africa, and he knows who he is when he hears this. So I thank you. So to Ryan, Laura, Muhammad, and to all the people I love out there, and to you, your family, your friends, from my heart to yours, I thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Okay, bye for now. Talk
Bye.
to you soon.